everyone, this is Persephone. I'm looking a bit different because I'm filming some things that are not meant for YouTube, so I try to make a video for you in between filming other stuff. I'm sorry for not uploading more, so I'm going to try doing that from now on. You may see some weird costumes, it's okay. No further intro. Today I want to discuss with you some things that are extremely heavy, so before we start, it's going to be a trigger warning. If this video upsets you, please take a break. I'm not a mental health professional and I'm not trying to substitute one. Everything here is just my own opinion, okay? And it's not meant to substitute mental health professionals. Use your own mind and your own good judgment to make good decisions. That being said, I'm going to update you that, as I said in earlier videos, the abuse in my family is escalating rapidly and people are becoming progressively more and more upset with me to the point that I start to be concerned about my physical safety, especially long term, that at some point I'm going to have to love these people from a distance, like a couple of countries away type of distance. The question is, why did things get to this point when technically, when you live in this dystopian capitalist economy and all of the other adult children of the friends and extensive family members have gone home broke and losers and my businesses are thriving, not wanting to brag too much, just stating as a fact, why is the abuse escalating? Because I have spoken a lot about narcissistic parents, so we all have heard the popular psychologists and their advice that the narcissists see you as an extension of themselves. The narcissists want to get supply through their children, so you have to look good, you have to be successful so that your parent can actually brag. Yet in my case, it doesn't happen. So every time I face a problem, I'm thinking maybe there are people all over the world who have the same problem, so if we discuss it, someone can get help from it. This is just my theory, okay? I believe that there is a very specific subtype, I want to think that it's relatively rare, of an exceptionally vile person. You could say not even human, like something that pretends to be human, walking around in human skin, but lacking basic humanity, basic qualities that make us human. And this targets men a lot more than women, in my opinion. That's why most of my viewers are also male. I think that I have met at this point so many trapped men whose lives are being ruined one day at a time and they don't even know why. And I believe that if you find yourself in a controlling situation, this may be happening. I'm going to use a very disgusting analogy. I'm sorry for that. I couldn't come up with a better one and I think this fits very, very well. Have you seen these cases when someone is a victim of a crime in childhood, that it could be beatings, it could be sexual abuse, it could be some other kind of crime, and they grow up to do trauma reenactment, that if they were getting beaten as children, they go out and they're violent as adults and they beat their own children, or if they were sexually abused, they become sexually abusive to their own family or to other unsuspecting victims. And this is a very maladaptive and very sick way to not exactly heal, because the problem with this technique is that it doesn't offer anything except temporary distraction, temporary dopamine rush, and after this wears off, they go out to do it again and again and again. That's why a lot of them end up in prison, which is a good thing. Another thing is that these behaviors tend to escalate. So if you started with slapping someone, you may escalate into beating them with belts, into throwing them up the stairs, or into killing them. I could find next to nothing about what I'm going to describe online. But I don't want to think that I'm the first one who noticed it. I think there is a reason they don't tell us. What would that be? Most people who have unhappy lives and they become extremely abusive, I believe they do this trauma reenactment on us in a mental level, by using control. I'm going to start by using an example from my own life. In my house, when I was growing up with my parents, my father has been evolving into this omnipotent God on earth in his mind, that he knows everything, he can understand everything, and if you have any problem in life, it's your fault for not just going to ask him and he's going to solve it for you. Have you seen those rednecks that they say about any kind of war happening, they send me in Afghanistan and I'm going to solve it in 2 weeks? But expand that in everything, not just in redneck stuff. So he has this conspiracy theory that Dishwashers actually cost a lot of money and they use a lot of electricity, which is, honestly, it's not true, especially if you buy those environmentally friendly ones, because I've lived with a dishwasher and without, and the bills were lessened like with the dishwasher. I ended up paying far less. So it was an A++ dishwasher, but in any case, you can do your research and decide. But because we lived in this patriarchal bullshit, whatever the man says goes. So even if the man is never going to wash dishes, if he says we're not going to get a dishwasher, that's it. So my mother that has, you would much rather have her like shooting herself in the head than doing any kind of housework. I witnessed her growing up, washing dishes, extremely angry and screaming at me and occasionally throwing dishes at me or throwing dishes on the floor and smashing them and showing her hate about her life. Now, when I went to college and I was like 19, I saw that several people around me were having dishwashers, and it was actually helpful that the redneck ideas that I grew up and I was listening all the time, it was not true. So I decided, okay, I had part-time jobs already, I'm going to work and save up and get one. And that's exactly what I did. I'm emphasizing on that because the dishwasher didn't cost my family a single dollar, and also because I was paying the bills myself. So it's not like someone is going to say, oh, you forced me to pay for it, or oh, you're going to have bigger bills now. No. If I tell you that I was abused for 3 to 4 months straight, screaming calls in the middle of the night, physical altercation. One time my mother tried to assault me in the middle of the street, screaming that if I didn't have a dishwasher, you wouldn't have one, to like screaming on the street. People would turn around to look at us. And I had friends who were medical students at the time, and one girl told me that your mother says you're very competitively. And I was thinking, this is such a bullshit topic to have competition. Like dishwasher, I told her at that point I wasn't making the money I make now. No one had heard about me on the internet. So I told her, just use your own money to get one. Or if you don't have money, like I can get you one as a present in your birthday or something. So I told her, if you really want one, if it's about you feeling deprived, we can solve it. Of course, my father, the God on earth, would not allow a dishwasher in the house, even though he didn't pay for it and even though he wasn't going to use it. So that was very bizarre at the time, but because it was an isolated incident, there was so much other crap going on, I blocked it from my memory. I remembered it recently, like years later. I believe that this is a symptom of a specific personality disorder and of a specific very vile person that is very dangerous for the rest of us. These people essentially have failed in their lives in every way. They're walking zeros, they're walking eyesores, and they know it. The reason for that is partially their fault. Like, for example, my mother, she made all the wrong choices. She was a teenage mom, okay, but she was also talentless. That is not her fault. Some people are just born with no talent. And also she was a victim of the life script. The life script: society needs people bullied, abused, broke, mentally ill, and physically ill to continue the system that already exists. Society doesn't want you happy. I know that, I'm sure of that. I see it everywhere around me. That's why, especially with religions, all of these theories are being force-fed on us as correct about getting married. Maybe getting married would be working, I don't know, 100 years ago when people lived 30 years, but now it doesn't work. And there are so many smarty pants men in my comments all the time that they get blocked because they have a cartoon account that they say, what do you suggest alternatively? What I would suggest is never get married. But if you really insist on getting married, I would say every 5 years to have a kind of contract in the marriage that you're going to be asked again. You can even be asked online now if you want to continue the marriage or not. And if one party says no, to start an automatic divorce that is going to be free. I think that's the best I can tell you, because in most cases, people marry someone and lose sexual attraction, overall attraction after 3 years or sometimes 7 years, or they simply drift apart to become different people. Or they start doing a job because you're being told that you should go to college and work to have a good job, and that doesn't work. Your job can be taken away in seconds. And I'm not going to expand on the why. Many people live lives extremely unhappy. Looking back, I'm really shocked by how unhappy my mother was. She must have been an extremely unhappy person. And if she was born in today's time, she would 100% be child-free. So, same time, a lot of these people are actually narcissistic. They don't want to accept that they're stupid. They don't want to accept that they're talentless. They don't want to accept that they got played. I have seen so many women, for example, I'm going to tell you an example from, let's say, Russian culture, okay? The same women who say, I have friends that their mothers say, I married your father and he was an alcoholic, he was horrible, he was beating me, he was this, he was that, he was patriarchal. But then, when your daughter says, okay, I'm just going to marry French guys, it's like, no, our sacred culture, how can you do that? And they torture the child. So that we can expand in many different categories and say that if your parents worked as public servants and they were extremely unhappy, they are going to start to do everything they can to force you to become a public servant too and become extremely unhappy, to reenact their own trauma and tell themselves, see, this is how life is. Life is suffering. Life is pointless. Life is horrible. No, it isn't, you loser. You're just surrounded by losers controlling your life. That's the real reason you're unhappy. I'm not saying that life cannot be bad or suffering or horrible and all of that, but if this all you know, then it's the people around you. Okay, I'm telling you, there are people out there living an awesome life. And when I got real money in my pockets, you would have been amazed how many moments actually became awesome. Although in my case, I can say, you're going to call it a cacking fetish. I like cacking people with money, especially people who abuse me. I like shoving money in their face, showing my success, showing the fact that I look good and they don't. Obviously very indirectly, but trust me, it hits the target. If your life sucks, it's because you don't have money, you're physically and mentally unwell, and you have someone controlling you, in most cases your parent, especially if you are a millennial or a zoomer. And the worst thing about that is that it's not going to stop. These people will never stop unless you take active measures to stop them. And trauma reenactment will continue. I married and I'm extremely unhappy, and you have been like bitching to their child about the father for 20 years, and then she goes to the son and says, why aren't you married? A normal, sane, kind, logical person would say, I've been married twice. If you come to me and you say, should I get married? I would say no, never. If you want my advice, you should never, ever get married to anyone. And even if people say, Persephone, you're the problem, you're the reason all of your marriages fail, even if that's true, even if I'm the problem, still the solution wouldn't be for me to marry a third time. The solution would be to work on myself. And even better solution would be to work on yourself before you get into a marriage, before you get into a serious relationship. Yet these people say, oh, my mother would be like, I married your father. I was a teen mom. I would have become a doctor. I would have become an actress. I would have become a celebrity. And I married your stupid father and I gave birth to you. And you ruined my life. Marriage sucks. Living with other people sucks. And then she would say to me, yikes, no one will marry you, you autist. Like, excuse me? If marriage ruined your life and no one will marry me, didn't I just dodge a bullet here? No, she has to have me married. So that she looks at me and says, the antinatalist crap, the nihilist crap, the pessimist crap, see, life is suffering. Yeah, if you beat your own kids and then you lock yourself inside and throw the key away and then say life is suffering, you're stupid. I'm not even sorry. So what do we do on that? The first thing to do is investigate what's going on in your life. I'm going to actually list several behaviors that I've seen people on my OnlyFans listing as normal when they're abnormal as, okay, I'm not going to be cursing, they're abnormal. Behavior number one. You still live with your mother, you're over 18, sometimes you're 55, and there is no plan whatsoever to move out. This is abnormal. People will not respect you to find out about your situation. I understand the economy is hard, I understand having a setback, I understand losing your job. You still go back and you have to be working to get back on your own feet as fast as possible. Don't use the bad economy as an excuse, because there are still so many people who don't live with their parents. Thing number two. You have to constantly keep up with your parents, and you overshare or they overshare on social media and micromanage your life. No, your mother doesn't need to call you every day. Another thing is having people, when you're a grown-ass man, having your mother or other females in your family acting like your domestic slaves and washing your dirty clothes and bringing you food. Once in a while, if you're sick or if there is any other kind of problem or if you just had a baby, I understand. Being 35, being 45, and being proud that you don't know how to cook, you're an eyesore. Thing number three, you have the personality of a cardboard box, because your family also has it, and you think that everything is just going to work out fine. I have met so many people who say, I love movies, eating, walking. That's not the personality. Maybe in your dad's time, when there were arranged marriages and dowries and social media didn't exist, so you didn't have competition, maybe this was enough. Now it's not good enough. I'm sorry. So you're going to have to work on yourself. And if there are people who are abusing you, these people are your enemies. I don't care if they are your mother, your best friend, your pastor, the spiritual leader in your community online, or whoever other crazy person. If there are people that their logic is, it happened to me, so it's normal to happen to you, that something is very, very, very disturbed there. I'm sorry if that person got abused. I'm sorry if their parent beat them, but you getting a beating today, that's not okay. We don't live in Gilead. If my father could press a button and create Gilead and just put me into the Handmaid's Tale, he would. That's why he has to be stopped. That's why people like him need to be stopped. They need to grow old, die, and these dangerous ideas to die with them. Do you understand what I mean? And if you think that it's going to get better when they get older, it won't. In my case, I lived in delusion in such a long time. I was thinking, if I'm thin enough, it's going to be better. If I make more money, it's going to be better. If I'm more successful, it's going to be better. Or at least I'm going to be left alone. These people, they get paid in a month what I get paid in a day, in many cases. Or they have no jobs. Like, do you know what happens? They get a contract with the government, they work for like 6 months, then the government fires them and then hires them when there is a need for them. And in the meantime, they are at their parents' basement coping. So what they do to sleep at night, to feel better about themselves, is telling, making money online is impossible. Life is suffering. Yeah. I should never have been born. Yet all of these people who say humanity should be extinct, all of them have one common trait. They love themselves too much. Have you noticed that the people who are the biggest antinatalists and the people who are the biggest depressed people and promoting suicide and other horrible stuff, they usually have it much easier than me personally? They don't have to worry for bills, they don't have to work, they don't have to risk, they sit in their house, usually Papa government in their country gives them money, and then they say life is horrible. When you're a loser who will never go anywhere, and you tell yourself that making money online is impossible, and then you see me, then I have to be raised so that you can continue coexisting with yourself. People cannot live with conflicting thoughts and conflicting feelings for a very long time. They will go insane, okay? They will go on a rampage. And because these people also have very strong narcissism inside them, they have to tell themselves that I'm the problem. Imagine, let's say, you have a much older brother who is a closeted homosexual, okay? And he lived all of his life in the closet, thinking that this is just how it is, I have to pretend to be straight, maybe I'm just going to marry some beard woman and have kids and drink on my free time to cope with my situation. And let's say you have a 15-year age gap and you are born and you're also gay and you decide to come out and be gay and date a man you love. There is not going to be a person who is going to prosecute you and hunt you down and hurt you more than the closeted homosexual, because you coped for 15 years telling themselves it is what it is, and then you go out and you spoil the cope. The amount of death threats I have gotten online for such a small channel is like, it's insane. I've even talked about it with bigger YouTubers in private, and I show them the emails, people threatening to dismember me, people threatening to come in my house and rape me. Like, this is every month at this point. And now you're going to say, because I know what the haters are going to say, because I have much lower IQ than me, Persephone, not everyone is able to sell their body for money online like you, so don't tell people to make money online when you use the OnlyFans e-whoring grab. That's correct, and you don't have to do it. But here is the thing. I have money for my books, so you can write a book. If you have a skill, you can make a YouTube channel teaching that skill. If it's a foreign language, for example, if it's IT, if it's any kind of thing, even cooking, something that you're good at. You can do it, and you can make money out of it without any kind of adult content involved, and you can even make a lot more money than me. Oh wait, you don't have any skill? You're one of these cardboard box personality people that they love eating, breathing, and watching TV series? Then what I say, and if I do OnlyFans or not, is not your problem. It's the fact that you're like my mother. You're this talentless, boring person who expects to be sitting there and be given money. This amazing contradiction, saying you're greedy, you're awful, money are the source of all evil, but at the same time, why isn't the government giving me more money? These people that they harass me almost every day, it's so interesting. If money is the source of all evil, why do you get a welfare check still? Go live in the mountains. Go live in a commune and just make your own produce and eat and survive. Oh, you can't do that. I'm getting really pissed off and I'm going to start waging a war against all of these communities because they make people mentally ill. I'm trying to wake people up here. I'm trying to tell you, we don't live in some mysterious, predetermined, horrible universe as a prison determined to suffer. Decide to postpone your decision about the world for a while and first look and examine around you all of the human close relationships that you have. And if you don't have abusive parents, if you don't have invasive parents, if you don't have financial abuse, if you don't have backstabbing friends, and everything around you is at least a 5 out of 10, let's say neutral, some days good, some days bad, and you still think the world is a horrible place, then you can come back with a very well thought comment, and I'm very happy to discuss it with you.